So it seems the hemorrhaging is only continuing. There is no end in sight. This is my third video on this topic now, because day after day, I continue to come across the same types of videos, and my jaw is literally just dropping. I am stunned. I did not think that more people could possibly be leaving the Democrat Party, but somehow there's still more people leaving. Now, I understand why they're leaving in light of what recently happened to Charlie Kirk and a lot of people on their side of the political aisle, their reaction to it. But I thought everybody that was sane had already left, but apparently not. So with that being said, let's dive in.
So I was talking to two young men this weekend. One is a registered Democrat. The other is what he would call an independent or moderate Republican. Neither one of them agreed with very much of what Charlie Kirk said. But they had watched Kirk's videos on campuses for years as Kirk debated students and anyone else who wanted to stand in line for the chance to prove me wrong, as Charlie Kirk put it. And they respected that. They admired his willingness to debate and Kirk's skill at it, even when they didn't always agree with his positions. Now, one of those young men voted for Kamala Harris in the last election. The other did not. But both of them separately told me this weekend they will never vote for a Democrat again. Both said their social media feeds were filled with far-left agitators celebrating. But both of them separately told me this weekend they will never vote for a Democrat again. Both said their social media feeds were filled with far-left agitators celebrating Kirk's assassination or saying he somehow deserved to be killed because of the provocative and perhaps even offensive things that Kirk said. These young men know that the Democratic Party leaders have all publicly condemned the killing. They know that these far-left agitators do not represent the Democratic Party writ large. But they found these videos and these posts cheering on a murder so disturbing, so reprehensible, it has turned them off of the Democratic Party altogether. They are not the only ones who feel this way or who are horrified at people making light of murder. People are now losing their jobs.
Yeah, so you heard that there. Two gentlemen, one of them actually voted for Kamala, but both agree that they will never vote for a Democrat ever again. And while, I would love for them to vote Republican, obviously, especially this new Republican Party that we have. It's not the old Republican Party. It's not the Republican Party of the Liz Cheneys and the Mitch McConnells of the world, right? We're ousting those folks the right way, the peaceful way, right? I want to make that clear before anybody tries to twist my words or anything like that. The peaceful way, we are voting these folks out. The Susan Collins, the Lisa Murkowskis, the John Thunes, the John Cornyn's of the world, right? We are voting these people out. I want to make that clear. I am happy that we can all agree on the fact that Democrats, they can't run this country right now. Not right now. Maybe in 20, 30 years, once they've revamped their entire party. But right now, it is absolutely wild, man. And sure, Democrat politicians may have come out and denounced some of the violence, but they're the ones who brought us here in the first place by calling people like Charlie Kirk and Uncle Trump Nazis and Hitler. And literally just yesterday, Chuck Schumer was back at it again, saying that this is communist China, right? This is something that Putin would have done. He was referencing the whole Jimmy Kimmel firing, and it's like, bro, Trump had nothing to do with that. Trump isn't Jimmy Kimmel's boss, which is also crazy as well, because all the Democrat politicians are trying to blame Trump for Jimmy Kimmel losing his show, basically. And it's just like, Trump's not his boss. Sure, Trump is the president, but Trump isn't Jimmy Kimmel's boss. And Democrats are the same. Those same Democrat politicians that we have the clips are the same people that celebrated when Tucker Carlson got fired. They were calling for it. Some of them were calling for his firing, right? AOC made a whole live giddy that he got fired. But now all of a sudden, because Jimmy Kimmel gets fired, we're in Nazi Germany and under Hitler rule or under Putin's rule. Like, what? Stop it. Stop it. They're the ones that led us to this place. But I am happy that we can all agree whether or not you want to vote for Republican. Well, I should say, whether or not you want to vote for a Republican, I'm happy that we can all agree on the fact that we ain't voting Democrat. That's for darn sure. But there's more. Check it out.
So I don't make political content on my page because of my own personal experience with speaking my mind on political topics. I went to a very liberal arts college, heavy on the liberal aspect. It was basically an echo chamber of liberal indoctrination, and I barely came out of there with a sane mind, because any opinion that I had that wasn't 100% on board with liberals caused me to be socially ostracized, criticized with every name in the book: racist, homophobic, bigot, this, that, and the third, which couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, I used to be the biggest liberal out there. I actually organized and hosted my own protests when George Floyd died. Just you guys are gonna laugh, but I also had a septum piercing. I had blue hair, so I know that stereotype is out there. So it's kind of true, but that's how I was back around 2019, 2020, just that era. Where things started to change was when I started to get a lot of pushback and criticism for just speaking my own opinions on college campus. It really shook me deeply to my core and made me self-reflect, research a lot of topics, and I just started diving more into conservative opinions. So I started watching people like Amir Odom on YouTube, Amala Akanobi, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, Piers Morgan, Blair White. All of those prominent YouTube channels, started watching their videos, and I started realizing how much the left has brainwashed me in a way. Just my way of thinking was very much a victim mentality, and I wasn't happy when I was a Democrat. I was very upset, angered all the time, wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't at my healthiest back then either. So I think those are very interesting correlations. Now, it may not be the case for everyone, and it probably isn't, but for me personally, that was my experience as a Democrat.
I registered to vote when I was 18 years old. I registered as a Democrat. I've been voting Democrat for 31 years. I am now 49. I have been voting Democrat for as long as Charlie Kirk was alive. Now, first and foremost, I want to say to Mr. Kirk's family and to his children, I am so, so sorry. And I got to say personally, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm out. I'm done. I'm not ever going to be the type of person that comes on and publicly celebrates, certainly, because I think it takes an incredibly sick individual to do something like that. What the hell? But to even just sit back and not say anything, I think that's complicit. The silence would speak volumes. I would be part of the problem. I have been disillusioned with the Democratic Party for a very, very long time. And when I actually sat down and listened, which I have been for a couple of years now, to the debates from people like Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, and others, it's been making a lot of sense. I am autistic. I can't speak for every autistic person, but I'm a highly logical person. I have feelings, I have empathy, but I decision make and my thought process operates much more on logic than it does emotions and feelings when I'm making decisions and I'm thinking about my position on things. And I have noticed that the Democratic Party seems to be the party of emotion, control, fear, emotion. And others tend to be the party of logic and thinking, free thinking, opening yourself up to different opinions. In my opinion,
I've talked about this in the past. Every election cycle, what do Democrats say? Threat to democracy, vote or die, right? They say these type of things to get people emotionally charged to go and vote. It's never, and you guys remember this. This recently just happened in this past election. Kamala Harris was literally running her campaign with no campaign promises on her page. It was just a donation link so people could donate to her campaign. There wasn't any list of things that she wanted to do, not until people started asking her, hey, what are you actually going to do? There's nothing on your website. Then finally they slapped something on there. She legitimately thought, her and Democrats thought, that she could get away with just like that proves the point, bro. They simply run off of fear-mongering people to get out and vote. Hey, if you don't vote, Hitler's going to take over. You don't want that. He's going to round people up. And it's just like, come on, bro, stop it. That is a slap in the face to people who actually had to face the real one and lost their lives to it. That's a slap in the face. To call Trump, him? You know, the guy that rounded people up and put them in gas chambers? Democrats will go to no ends to the very end, right, to try to fearmonger folks, and this is absolutely ridiculous.
The Democratic Party has straight up become a cult. It is a cult. There are things that have been overlooked that are harmful and damaging, particularly concerning people with clear mental health issues, okay? They don't need pronouns. They need Prozac, all right? Sorry. The public response has been absolutely outrageously unacceptable. We all know that. But what disturbs me even more are people who are educators in this country who are trying to justify this on this app using very carefully constructed language. Well, the tragedy it's a tragedy, but he did this. No. That is not okay. That is minimizing. And even therapists on this app talking about, if you're feeling offended and if you're not, that's understandable, because he said this and he said that, and you are, the victim that you think you are. And I think that therapists out there are making this worse. When we talk about, get therapy, there are many, many therapists who I think actually were normalizing personality disorders. We're normalizing narcissistic traits. We're normalizing toxic behaviors. And it concerns me. There's no accountability. People are so wrapped up in their own shit all the time, and it's just like we're losing the ability to have any sort of responsibility, accountability, maturity, and empathy from the party that I have aligned myself with and loved since I was 18 years old, and could understand the voting process and the democratic process and wanted to be a part of it. I needed to speak out and say something, to not only do the obvious, which is condemn violence in any form, okay?
Yeah.
But this I can't do this anymore. The party that I love has become cuckoo, okay? It's been taken over. And the people who aren't overtly cuckoo, the rhetoric that was used leading up to this from people in Democratic Party, whether it was in the media, on talk shows, and on this app and others, it stoked the flames that led to this, okay? And I will not sleep one more night knowing that I am playing a part of this in any way, whether verbally or non-verbally. I can't do it. I won't do it. All of that being said, okay, I want to make something very, very clear. All right? Think for yourself. like I said, I'm autistic. I tend to not, again, I don't speak for everybody, but I tend to not give a shit what people think. All right. If you disagree with something, you might not want to speak about it publicly. Okay. And for right now, it might be a good idea not to. But don't let public pressure or social pressure convince you and pressure you into going along with things that you don't agree with. Okay?
I agree with that. And shout out to her, man. Shout out to her. Someone who had voted for the same party for 30 years can see clearly and realize that the party that they started off voting for isn't the same party that is here today, right? The Democrat Party 30 years ago is completely different than the one today. That is for sure. The Democrat Party 30 years ago would have agreed with a lot of the stances that Uncle Trump has right now. I mean, he was a former Democrat. Same thing with Tulsi Gabbard. Same thing with RFK Jr. There are a lot of Democrats in this party. I'm a former Democrat, right? So, yeah, all Democrats, man, are welcome over on this side. We already have welcomed lots of Democrats, and we will continue to welcome even more. But carry on. There's more.
I am fucking done with the Democratic Party. You guys are psychotic. I've been a Democrat my entire life. I'm 43 years old, and I've never been more humiliated and embarrassed to be part of something. You guys are the most racist, hateful, bigoted, nasty group of people I've ever had to commingle with. And it's not all, just to be clear, but it's a majority of you guys. The left has lost their goddamn minds. What I've witnessed over the last 72 hours has been an absolute disgrace. Disgrace. You guys want to sit here, you want to abort babies at 9 months, you want to leave the borders wide open. New York City is an absolute disgrace. You have no idea what's going on in Manhattan. It's disgusting. Disgusting. It's not even livable anymore. I can't wait to get out of here. We have people that are getting set on fire in New York City subways, not once, but twice. The stores are being looted. People are being pushed in front of the trains. The streets are filled with piss and weed. And I swear to God, I hope New York City single-handedly flips the entire New York State red. Because I am done. I am done.
Flip the entire state red. I wouldn't be mad about that one. I wouldn't be mad at that at all.
Hey, what's up? It's Anthony Constantino with a quick message to any reasonably minded Democrats out there. Following the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk, we've all seen tens of thousands of Democrats openly celebrate his murder, with millions more liking those disgusting social media posts online. If you're a Democrat who still cares about a better world and a better future, it's time to leave. Your Democrat Party has become a hate cult. It spends billions, if not trillions, to poison the minds of your fellow citizens so that they hate their friends, their neighbors, and even their family members simply for thinking different. We didn't wake up in a country where millions celebrate death and murder by accident. The Democrat Party, along with its donors and its friends in the media, engineered this. If you see what I'm seeing and want no part of it, I ask that you leave the Democrat Party to force its reform so we can all live in a happier and better country.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. If people continue to leave this party, they will be forced.
Okay, hi.
Forced to reform.
So, I am a college student, and I have really been pondering over the past week politics, my worldview, and just where I stand politically, because after, the events that unfolded over the past week, and the strong visceral reaction to it online, I really sat and thought about it. Really just made me sit and think, am I on a good side of politics? Am I actually aligning with my values and morals, or am I kind of just in an echo chamber full of hate, vitriol, vilification, and just disgusting practices. So I was raised in a very left-leaning space. I grew up in a left-leaning city. I've been in left-leaning educational institutions my entire life. So I always just had that left-leaning moral compass, and it was always affirmed by the fact that as a black queer man in America, there's people who are out to get you and people hate you for existing, and you need to stand firm in your left-leaning beliefs, or else your rights are at stake. People are going to try to get you out the country, take away your rights, even kill you and whatnot, right? So I've grown up with these beliefs for a really long time, and I've just been so firm in them, and I've been in these left-leaning echo chambers because of them, and I've kind of just always been around left-leaning voices as I got older. But now I'm really considering if that's even who I am and if that's what I stand for, and I'm kind of maybe considering leaving the left, because after seeing how many people have just been so nasty and just disgusting in reaction to Charlie Kirk passing away from gun violence, it's like so shocking to me, because when I first heard about the news, right, I actually was understanding to a lot of this excitement online. I didn't think much of the death because from what I had heard, Charlie Kirk had been a neo-Nazi who wanted me to be dead. He didn't support my existence and whatnot. And now I'm kind of sitting here thinking, and I'm like, I feel like I had been lied to. I really took some time after the thing happened to kind of look into his videos, look into his beliefs, look into his thoughts and who he was as a person, kind of reevaluate his character. And to me, he seemed like a well-mannered family man. He believed in the country. He believed in the greater good of the country. He had his own political beliefs and opinions. And sure, there's a lot of things that I don't agree with him on, but I never would stand for him dying or being murdered because of his beliefs. That just doesn't make sense to me. I would never support some sort of ideology that pushes for something that nasty. And I want to give a really big shout out to Candace Owens, because regardless of how controversial she is, and regardless of her complicated legacy with politics and her possibly being a grifter and whatnot, she posted a really good video humanizing Charlie Kirk in a way that I had never seen before. She displayed Charlie as a friend, as a human, as a genuine caring guy, and just showed a side of him that I think most people had never seen. And it was so different from, the person who you see on the debate stages and, and the controversial tweets and whatnot. You saw a human being, right? There's a video of them in the car singing along to a controversial singer song, right? Singing lyrics, but they were having fun. They were being genuine, like human beings, just vibing. And it just, like, I saw it and I was just like, wait, like, this is like not too much on him. I don't know. And it kind of just made me reevaluate everything. And I was like, it left me with a weird gut feeling, and I kind of felt sick, and I was just like, I cannot believe there are so many people who are like celebrating his passing. Like he seems like a normal guy. I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. So then I kind of just like really went down that rabbit hole of like starting to question my beliefs and thoughts. And I think I may be starting to lean a lot farther right in response to everything that's taken place. But yeah, that's my thoughts. If I'm wrong, prove me wrong, I guess. But I'm really considering leaving the left.
I see what you did there.
That's taken place. What do you guys think?
I see what you did there. He said, prove me wrong, which is the banner that Charlie Kirk always had above his head when he would go to college campuses. And to you, I don't even want to say your TikTok name, but hopefully you see this video. His TikTok name is right there, by the way, if you guys want to go check him out. Wait, here. Is there? No, it just stays there the whole time. Is there one? Well, you guys can see it. You can pause it. Yeah, you can clearly see that there. Anyway, to you, my brother, contrary to popular belief, we accept everybody on this side of the political aisle. You're allowed to disagree. I have publicly disagreed with Uncle Trump before, and I received zero hate. As a matter of fact, the entire comment section was full of people that actually agreed with me because I disagreed with Uncle Trump, you know? So don't believe the lies. Don't believe the little clips that you may see online. Like I've been seeing little short clips of Charlie Kirk, and he says something crazy, and people are taking it and running with it. Watch the whole video so you get the full context of what he was saying, right? Because we've seen that done time and time again, where somebody takes a little 10-second clip and they cut off the whole minute before and the whole minute after. And when you watch the whole minute before and the minute after, it completely changes what you think about that little 10-second clip, you know? So I encourage everybody to not just watch short clips, but watch the entire video on anything and everything, right? But especially, you know, somebody like Charlie Kirk right now, where so many people are trying to attack him. And even if you completely disagree with Charlie Kirk, celebrating the death of a man is just absolutely bottom floor. It is absolutely disgusting. And it shows who you really are. You're not the loving person that you claim to be, right? You're not the peace and love people that you claimed that you are. That's not your party. You're the party of celebrating a man's death because you disagreed with him. I'm just saying that I don't need to say any more than that. We have never celebrated the death of anybody on the left. Not a single person. When Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, nobody celebrated that on the right, nor would I have even agreed with anybody celebrating that on the right, right? When we got Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis, nobody celebrated that. We might chuckle at him tripping over a sandbag or not being able to read a teleprompter correctly, but we would never celebrate anybody losing their life. That is disgusting. I don't care how much we disagree with anybody on the left. That is just absolutely bottom floor right there, man. But to you, my brother, I encourage you to come over on this side. And once again, don't just look at the short clips. Watch the whole videos. Stick around for a while. Hear us out. It's a lot different than what you've probably heard it is over here. We aren't who they claim we are. We're completely different. But with that being said, y'all let me know your thoughts and your opinions about all of this, all right? Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.